Hello everyone, I'm back. Well, I was actually back with an upload yesterday, a video on Juventus and how Spalletti has and will change them for the better. Do check that one out. But anyway, this is the Champions League's time, so let's go back to Tuesday's matches. So as I mentioned in the preview, Atleti have never lost a knockout tie against FC Barcelona in the Champions League, and the last two times they faced them in the knockout rounds, they did go on to the final. So Barcelona had it against them in this second leg, as well as that 2-goal hill to climb. But luckily, Clément Lenglet tried to help them out by doing something reminiscent of what he would do while he was with Barcelona. A big mistake that led to a Lamine Yamal goal 4 minutes in. Lamine Yamal had actually threatened earlier. He forced a save out of Musso just seconds into this match, so he was on it. An early marker laid down by him, and he was fantastic in this match. Atleti did wake up. Griezmann would have equalized on the night, if not for Gerard Martin's block, but Barcelona were cutting through Atleti's lightweight back line far too easily. And I don't say this to pick on him again, but Lenglet's involvement, or lack thereof, for Barcelona's second goal was very pedestrian once again. A pass inside to Ferran that he was able to collect and casually spin away from Lenglet before a great finish past Musso. It was way too easy for Ferran, and this is one of the biggest issues that I have with Atleti, and that Atleti have with themselves. Without Hansi, it's difficult to trust anybody else in the center back positions because they have mistakes in them. They get caught out of position, they lose their man, they don't read the game as well. They generally just don't seem as switched on. For all of the good that Atleti has in the midfield going forward, which there is a lot, they have a soft underbelly in defense. Lenormand had a moment as well where he was spun way too easily by Ferran Torres, who's a good player, of course. He plays for Barcelona. He scored a brace the past weekend. But this isn't R9 that is making Lenglet and Lenormand look so pedestrian. It's far too easy. Anyway, it's not like Barcelona defend like AC Milan from the 90s, as was evidenced from Atleti's goal. Griezmann releases Llorente, showing his class once again that Atleti is really going to miss next season. He was fantastic in this match, Griezmann that is. And then Llorente with the squared ball to Lookman for a scuffed but sufficient finish. Scuffed but sufficient. That's a good motto. But yeah, getting back to Antoine Griezmann. Loved this performance from him. He would float to the right to chip in on defense. He would get forward to attack. He would drop deeper into the midfield, make a tackle, then distribute the ball quickly or hold on to it, evade a couple of players trying to press him, then switch the play. He was just really good in this game. Now in the second half, Barca had a goal called back for offside, and they also had yet another red card. Last week it was Cubarsí. This week it was Eric Garcia for his foul on Sorloth, last man foul, just like last week. There's going to be a risk of that when you play a high line, though they were kind of in a mid block at that point. But sooner or later, players will get in behind you when you play like that and you're chasing a match. And when they do so, defenders will run the risk of a red. Barca had a couple of decent chances in stoppage time. Araujo's header comes to mind, but Atleti hold on. I mean, I predicted Barca would go through. This was before Rafinha's injury, which I think was a huge difference maker here. But I am very happy for Antoine Griezmann. I don't think they will win it, but long may Atleti's run continue in this competition. They are so fun to watch because they guarantee there will be goals at both ends. As for Barca, no Copa del Rey, no Champions League again, but they won the Supercopa, and they will likely win La Liga with that big lead they have. Now the club is very upset with the refereeing, as they believe plenty of calls were straight up wrong, such as Ferran's goal, Olmo not getting a penalty, and the red card. The Olmo one was similar to Konate pushing Nuno Mendes last week, nothing given. Olise getting railroaded against Real Madrid, nothing given. Nothing given here as well, so I guess at least there's some consistency, right? Now, contentious moments aside, I think where Barcelona should have taken control of this tie was the Fermin Lopez header that he failed to convert. I feel bad because he was injured from it, but that was an opportunity that you have to capitalize on in order to progress. Those moments are the difference makers between advancing and not in this elite competition. At that point, it would have been 3-0 Barca, 3-2 on aggregate, and Atleti would have then been chasing the result. But Atleti's first semi-final since 2017, very excited for them. The atmosphere in the Metropolitano is going to be insane. So PSG go to Anfield with a 2-goal cushion that, come on, really should have been a 5-goal cushion. Everybody was guilty of missing first leg opportunities in that PSG squad. Dembele, Kvaratskhelia included. Dembele's finishing was looking like Barcelona Dembele rather than Ballon d'Or Dembele. It really had you wondering if they would rue those chances, right? Even if it is a Liverpool that is nowhere near the Liverpools of the past, they can still now and then pull something out at Anfield, right? While Liverpool had flashes in the first half, it was mostly PSG who were having anything that looked dangerous, except for the Van Dijk chance right on the doorstep of the goal, easily the best chance of the first half for either team. A rebound fell to the Dutch centre back on the edge of the 6-yard box with Safanov scrambling and Marquinhos, the vet. Marquinhos put in a flying tackle of desperation and managed to block Van Dijk as he struck for goal. Brilliant tackle. Well done from Marquinhos, who was great in this match. Fantastic from him. Got to give credit to Safanov as well for that save on Kerkez, as he got down very quickly, got down very well, as he did a few times in this match. That save on Ngamoa as well comes to mind. And can I just say, the football gods do not want Isak and Ekitike to be fit at the same time. Really hate to see Ekitike leave the match on a stretcher as he did. They just simply haven't been able to play together. Him going off led to Salah coming on, Gakpo moving to a more central area of the attack. Hopefully Ekitike will be well soon, though early indications are that it could be a ruptured Achilles. We'll see. In the second half, things looked good from Liverpool. They had PSG on the back foot early, but the more you squeeze PSG, the more you leave yourself open to counterattacks. Hold that thought. Because first, the moment between Pacho and McAllister, I didn't mind the referee overturning the penalty he had given originally. The touch from Pacho was very slight. It wasn't a lunge or anything. He was just moving towards the ball as McAllister was. Then McAllister stomped on the brakes with Pacho on his back. I mean, what's he to do, right? But you have seen that given before. In fact, it has shades of the Pepe foul on Fernando Torres in the 2016 final. Random, yes, but I viewed it recently for the Griezmann video that I did, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it, there's some truly odd things about Griezmann's career in there. Anyway, there's no better way to kill the atmosphere of the crowd than to overturn a penalty decision and then have PSG, the visiting side, go the other way shortly after and score. And who was it? Dembele, of course. Finishing in the box? Not good to that point, but outside the box, brilliant finish, sent McAllister for a hot dog, settled the ball, and then ripped it low past Mamardashvili with his left foot. As mentioned earlier, the more Liverpool squeezed, the more you saw PSG get these huge acres of space on the counter. Didn't always make the most of it, that's for sure. They overplayed it at times. Now, something else I said about PSG and their defense not being as good as last season's, I said this in the predictions video. You wouldn't have known it in this match. They proved me wrong, as Liverpool actually were getting themselves in good positions in the box. They had what would have been decent opportunities, if not for the great defending from Pacho and Marquinhos, who rolled back the years, even though he told CBS after that he feels old. But in the name or the spirit of continuing to improve on things that had previously been lacking, Dembele would finish one off from inside the box, fast counter, Kvara playing Barcola through, Barcola with the squared ball to Dembele, and he slid it under Mamardashvili for 4-0 on aggregate. Wasteful in the first leg, one big missed chance in the first half of this one, but more than made up for it in the second half, did Dembele. And PSG would win 2-0 once again, meaning the defending champions are in the semi-finals, and Liverpool, their season is essentially over. All that's to play for is the top 4 in England. Other than that, it's just a long, slow goodbye to Robertson and Salah and maybe Slot as well. But yeah, that could be the last Champions League match of Salah's career, depending on where he goes next. PSG showing that they are still a threat, and I will give them this credit. You know, I mean, I give them a lot of credit if you look at my coverage from last season as well, but I will say this as well, because this was a thought that I had when I was watching. The fact that they are the defending champions, that everyone sort of has the playbook on how to beat PSG now, or at least they should. They should. And the fact that PSG are still thriving, are still winning matches, are still overcoming their opponents. Luis Enrique is still making little changes in order to make them more difficult to play against, shows that they absolutely have to be taken seriously in this competition. This match was insane, and you'll remember from the prediction video I did, I mentioned how Bayern's matches against Real Madrid typically see some kind of strange goalkeeping error. You know, there was Lars Ulrich from quite a few years ago, Neuer a couple of years ago where he spilled the ball. We saw it again as it was an incredible error from Manuel Neuer and a great strike from Arda Güler as well, but we've seen Neuer pay for a mistake when he's playing the ball in midfield before, right? But to do it on a night like this, again against Real Madrid, this early in the match as well, just putting your team on the back foot immediately and giving a side like Real Madrid, who can fight their way out of any corner in this particular competition, no matter their form, an extra hand, an absolute gift for them. But as per the theme of this match, Bayern would equalize shortly after a corner kick that the defenders and Lunin made a mess of. Pavlovic with a header basically on the line, didn't even have to jump for it. For a good while, Real Madrid weren't doing much at all, and Bayern controlled the game well, but there were little flashes of a threat here and there from Real Madrid, whether it was Mbappe's half chance, which was offside. Vinicius would have one later as well, where he hit the bar, but not before Güler showed his elite accuracy once again, a perfect free kick that Neuer couldn't get to in time as it was right in the top corner. Beautiful placement. Again, Real Madrid showing that they don't need much to get a goal. They can punish any little mistake, and that's exactly what they did in that first half. Bayern brought one back later. Upamecano's run that led to Bayern's second goal of the night was fantastic, right through the midfield there. Capped off a great moment of pressure where it just felt inevitable that Bayern would score a goal. Harry Kane with a great touch and icy finish from him. Lunin did dive the complete wrong direction, but I'm not sure that he would have reached the ball regardless of jumping in the right direction or not. Then you had Vinicius Jr. drawing a few Bayern defenders towards him before Mbappe made a supporting run through the middle, leaving Upamecano in the dust. Just incredible acceleration from Mbappe and a clean finish past Manuel Neuer as well. They need more finishers out there though. Man, 5 goals in the first half, and you knew there would be more in the second half as well, right? However, while I say that Real Madrid is a team that makes the most of or exploits every chance in this competition, finishing has also been a bit of an issue for them in general this season across all competitions. While they punished Bayern's mistakes in the first half, Real Madrid could have had more goals in this game, not to mention the first leg where Manuel Neuer was unbelievable. In the second half, Bayern controlled much of it, but Real had their moments. They also had their moments where they were towing the line of getting a man sent off. Militão, Rudiger, he probably should have gone. But finally, Camavinga was the one who saw red moments later. Luis Diaz's deflected strike flew past Lunin. Game over at that point, but Michael Olise added an absolute beauty just to really cement it, right? He had tried that move twice before, cutting inside on the left in the second half alone, and he just hit it over that time, but he recalibrated and got it correct that time. So Real Madrid bow out, and their season is now, well, they still have La Liga to fight for. Unfortunately for them, that's all Barcelona, the team 9 points ahead of them in La Liga, will be focusing on as well. So they'll need a few favors from the rest of the league with 7 matches remaining. Still El Clasico remaining, but yeah, 9 points. They need help elsewhere. For Bayern, this great season continues. They score so many goals. I did a short video on that this week over on Instagram and TikTok. Just an unbelievable rate of scoring from them. And this semi-final up against PSG is going to be a delight. They played each other earlier in the season already with Bayern winning 2-1 in Paris, but that was a PSG that wasn't playing at this level yet. So it should be a great matchup. Man, this game was completely different from Bayern versus Real. I mean, it was different from every single match this week. Completely boring. Each team only had 1 shot on target when we were 70 minutes into this game. To give you an idea, the XG at that point was 0.5 for Arsenal, 0.23 for Sporting. Combined, they weren't even at an XG of 1. And that's just kind of how Arsenal are playing these days. They're playing a bit scared. They're playing a bit safe. And it's leading to these boring matches now. And by safe and scared, I mean they're a team that has already let 2 cups slip through their grasp. Their Premier League lead is at risk of getting even smaller. They were poor in Portugal, but came away with a result somehow at the very death of the match. Sporting nearly found the equalizer with the final kick of the match, and so Arsenal just squeezed through. It's weird. It's just weird because Arsenal has a great team. They're the team that I actually thought would win the Champions League from the beginning of this season based on their recruitment last summer, based on how they played in the latter stages of the Champions League last season. But I'll tell you, the Arsenal who played against Real Madrid and PSG last season could easily beat this version of Arsenal. Somehow they seem like they're afraid to win. They're afraid to take that final step. And that is a mentality that will be difficult to break. Well, even more difficult to break if they don't win a trophy this season. They desperately need that in order for them to mature as a club and become a club that wins things, creates a culture of winning things. Anyway, the important thing for them is that they are through and they can worry about improving their performances now, since they are still alive. For Sporting, they provided all of the difficulty I expected from them, as they are a very good side, but just lacked that ability to break down a defense as good as Arsenal's, create meaningful opportunities, which isn't a surprise, as most teams do struggle to do that against Arsenal. So Arsenal versus Atletico at the beginning of the season, the answer to who goes through between those two would have been pretty easy to answer, but now, even with Atleti's problems in defense that I noted, Arsenal aren't exactly flying in the attack, so it's a lot closer than it was. All right, that's my view on everything UCL this week. But guys, thanks as always for joining me. I'll see you in another video next week as per usual. But beyond that, hey, maybe I'll see you on Instagram or TikTok. Much easier to interact with you guys over on Instagram. But yeah, hopefully see you over there. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Take care.